Hey, joyful wife. Have you ever said something to your husband in anger or frustration, and then you watched as those words created distance between both of you, maybe some disconnection, maybe you snapped at him or you criticized him in front of others or your children or spoke sarcastically to him, and you immediately felt that shift in your relationship? Or maybe you've experienced the opposite. You spoke words of encouragement, gratitude, respect, and you saw his countenance change. You watched him stand a little bit taller, or he leaned in instead of pulling away. Here's what I want you to understand. Your words are not neutral. They are not just words. Your words are seeds, and every seed that you plant will produce a harvest in your marriage. In Proverbs 18:21, it says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Did you catch that? The tongue has power of life and death. Not just good vibes and bad vibes, not just helpful and unhelpful, but life and death. Your words are that powerful. Think about it this way. When God created the world, how did he do it? He spoke it into existence. Let there be light, and there was light. Words are creative, they shape reality, and you, my sweet friend, are also made in God's image. Your words also have creative power. The question is, what are you creating with your words? So there's two types of seeds. Every time you open your mouth to speak to your husband or your children, or about your husband or about your children, you're planting one of two types of seeds. It's either the life seeds, so they're words that encourage, affirm, respect, express gratitude, show appreciation, build someone up, give hope to someone, or speaking truth but in love. Or they're death seeds, words that criticize, tear down, show contempt, nag, use sarcasm, shame, express hopelessness, express disappointment, or complain. And here's the truth: every seed will produce a harvest. You can't plant death seeds and expect to have a life harvest. You can't plant criticism and expect to reap closeness with your husband. You can't plant contempt and harvest connection. So if you're wondering why your marriage may feel dead or distant or difficult, look at the seeds you've been planting with your words. Now, I'm not saying this to shame you by any means. I'm saying this to empower you, because if your words have the power to bring death, that means they also have the power to bring life. But you get to choose what seeds you want to plant. So let me give you some scenarios. Let's say this is death seeds. A wife says to herself, and maybe even to others, "He never helps me. He's so lazy. He doesn't care about what I need. He'll never change." What happens? Those words become her filter. They are the lens that she sees everything in. She starts looking for evidence to prove that she's right. When he does help, she'll dismiss it as too little, too late, or he only did it because I nagged him. She overlooks his efforts because her words have already shaped what she sees. And what happens to him? He feels her contempt. He senses that nothing he does will ever be good enough. So he stops trying. Why bother when she's already decided he's a failure? The death seeds produce a death harvest: distance, resentment, disconnection. But let's look at scenario 2. These are life seeds. So another wife chooses different words. "I am grateful for how hard he works. He shows his love in his own way. He's learning and he's growing. I trust God is working in him." What happens? Well, those words become her filter too. She starts noticing when he's trying. She sees his efforts, even the small ones, and acknowledges them. "Thank you for taking out the trash without me asking." Or, "I really appreciate that you sat down and listened to me tonight." And what happens to him? He feels seen, respected, valued, and men move toward appreciation and away from criticism. So he starts doing more because his wife notices and affirms what he does right instead of only pointing out the things he does wrong. The life seeds produce a life harvest. What you speak about him, you call forth from him. I just want you to listen so carefully. Your words have prophetic power. What you constantly say about your husband, to him, to others, to yourself, you are calling forth from him. If you say he's thoughtless, you're inviting thoughtlessness. If you say he'll never change, you're inviting stagnation. But if you say he's capable, you're inviting capability. If you say he's a good man, you're inviting goodness. If you say God is working in him, you're making space for transformation. Proverbs 12:18 says, "The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise bring healing." So are you using swords or a healing balm? We can't just wing it. We need to look at what God's word says about how we should speak. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." That's our filter. Before we speak, we need to ask, is this wholesome, pure, and not toxic? Is it helpful? Does this build him up? Does this meet his need? Not just my need to vent. Will this benefit him? If the answer to any of these is no, then don't say it. It's just that simple, and we don't have to make it any harder. Proverbs 16:24 says, "Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones." Your words should be like honey, sweet and healing, not bitter, not poisonous, not harsh. When you speak to your husband, your words should refresh him, heal him, make him feel safe with you. Think about it. Do your words make your husband feel safe, or does he walk on eggshells around you? Is he afraid what might trigger you? I love this one. Proverbs 31:26. "She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue." The Proverbs 31 woman, the woman we aspire to be, doesn't just blurt out whatever she's feeling. She speaks with wisdom. Her words are faithful. They have meaning, and they're trustworthy, they're helpful, and they're honoring. And you can speak truth without being cruel. You can address issues without being contemptuous. You can have hard conversations without using hard words. Research by Dr. Gottman, who has studied marriages for over 40 years, found something really fascinating. Healthy marriages have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions. I've even heard 10-to-1. So that means for every one corrective, critical, or negative word, there should be 5 positive, affirming, grateful words. So let that sink in. 5-to-1. We are upside down. So here's your challenge. Start counting how many life seeds versus death seeds are you planting daily. If you want to transform your marriage, start with your words. Plant 5 life seeds for every death seed. Let me give you some examples. Thank you for working so hard for our family. I appreciate that you fixed that leaky faucet. You're such a good dad to our kids. I'm so grateful that you're my husband. I love your sense of humor. And then if you need to address something, hey, when you have a minute, could we talk about the budget? Do you see the difference? You've deposited 5 words, positive words first. Now, he has the emotional reserve to hear something that might be a little hard. So here's the bottom line. Your words matter. Every single one of them. So you're either building your husband up or you're tearing him down. You're either calling forth his best or you're reinforcing his worst. You're either creating life or creating death in your marriage. But the good news is that you get to choose. Every day, every conversation, every word is a choice.